Welcome to the Distro Boss Podcast. This is Savraj Ori here. I'm on with Lee Black. He's an entrepreneur and the owner of a company called Antilles Digital Media. It's a marketing agency, and they're in a very competitive space. And that's the reason why I wanted to speak to him, because as an entrepreneur, jumping into something that's considered quite competitive and it's not so, I would say, niche focused, it's kind of hard to find out what it is that makes these companies successful. And Lee is driving forward with his business. It's going from success to success. He's gone through a ton of trials and tribulations, surviving through COVID and building his business up further. So Lee, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here and discuss the story. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, man. So why don't we start with like how you got into it? Because it's hard to make that leap of faith to just jump into business, especially when you're jumping into like I would say like bloody waters, like where there's a ton of people out there doing something similar. I wouldn't say the same thing because I know you're specific and I know you do things differently, but you are going ahead on the front end, like saying I'm doing what everyone else is doing, and as far as what people initially think about you. Like, what was your journey to that point?
Sure. So I actually did business development. I worked with small businesses for multiple Fortune 500 company banks here out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Really enjoyed working with business owners, not as much the bank, but more just working with business owners, understanding their story, their passion. What really fuels them is their desire to grow, and then their passion to help grow with their employees. Right? As a business owner, you don't only have just yourself to take care of; you also have your employees and their families, and that's a big responsibility. A lot of people they don't think about as someone who, if you're not an entrepreneur, you really don't think about that because you don't have to, and that's kind of like that blessing. So that's just what I really love. And as working in the bank and as banks do, it started to be more about the bank's bottom line instead of the clients. And that is when I realized at that time, a lot of the clients I was working with, they did not have a great digital media strategy that was kind of holding clients back from making that leap to the next level. A lot of it was word of mouth, or they're more old school mom and pop, if you will. And being able to offer that and continuing to develop those relationships with those clients, that was what kind of prompted me to make that transition into the bloody waters, if you will, of the digital media space.
Yeah, and like digital media is like, just to like clarify what that means, because I thought I knew what it meant. Because it's like this umbrella term, right? It's like because it can kind of encompass like the social media side of things. Even like now, when you start looking at like an old textbook and you start looking at the definitions of like pull marketing and push marketing, it's almost everything is compiled under digital media. Even when it comes to like working with social media personalities, if you're working with them as influencers and you're paying them, obviously I've seen from your website that you focus a lot. Well, there's a heavy focus on like SEO and SEM. I think those are the gold standard, right? Because it's like it's your people are when you've got good SEO and SEM or search engine optimization and search engine marketing, it's like you're able to serve customers with information. It's specifically based on the searches that they make and at the exact time they're looking for that solution, right? So like it definitely is after everything, after you consider all the brand building out there, that's kind of like the gold standard. Is that specifically what you focus on, or do you do everything else too, like everything under the umbrella?
Right. So I like to break it out for what, like, kind of what you alluded to is it's a broad term. So when we think of marketing in general, I kind of divide into three ways. You have digital media, which is the website specific digital media. You have social media marketing. So meta platforms, Twitter, TikTok, where a lot of the influencers live. And then you have more what I just call old school marketing, which is like the print media, right? The mailers that you would send out, or if you get, I just call it spam snail mail. I mean, so you have to me like the marketing space is within three distinct categories. I'd like to break that out, and we focus mainly on the first one, which is the digital media space. So what's on your website, communicating to Google, whether that be paid ads, PPC is what it's called, or pay per click, or organic SEO. So you did break that out between SEO and SEM. SEO is organic, making sure that Google and other search algorithms like your content, promote your content, rank it to the top so you don't have to pay for clicks. But we also do social media marketing as well, where we build more of branding on social media. And then if we do run ads on social media as well. So you can pay for ads on social media platforms, you can pay for ads on Google or other search engines, and you can do them both organically. So the first two is what we do. We stay away from more like, again, old school, which is not in the digital space, more of print, person to person, flyers, banners, shirts, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we very before this podcast, we had our very first conversation, and one of the things I'd mentioned to you was like I'd spent like copious amounts of money, like enormous amounts of money on digital marketing agencies where they kind of say that they do this whole 360 solution. And, they cover all the bases. You've got the social media posts and they do this and they have the brand building and then they've got the direct response type of thing. And then they've got the search engine optimization, the search, the marketing that sits on Google and various other search platforms. And it's like, you can spend huge amounts of money and actually just not get very much at all. A lot of companies, and the specific example I gave you was, you know I would, as representing large businesses, we would go for what we would consider reputable businesses in the marketing space just because they had a big name, and then they wouldn't actually give us good results. But it was important for us to partner with someone that had a really big name because our investors or our board members felt more comfortable with something like that. But they weren't delivering results. And the better results that we ever achieved, the good results that we ever achieved, was when we worked with the smaller companies that had a bit more of a personal touch, and they could really embed themselves with our business, truly embed themselves, and they had ways in which they would actually manage their own KPIs. And I know one of the things that you did, especially with the way you actually bill your clients, I feel like we've got to speak about that for just a second, because I know that you have a very unique way of actually conducting business. Like, why don't you tell us? Because I think that's I don't know if that's your secret sauce, but it's definitely a value add, big time.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that we spoke about before is when you jump into something where where it's bloody waters, where you know that there's a bunch of people out there that have the biggest names, the biggest brand, and they spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, really outspends you. Um, one of the hardest things for me is to take a look objectively at the space that I'm in. What's wrong with this space? What is this space missing? Right? Either you got to be the best, you got to be the first, or you got to have something else that's there. Some people say we got to cheat if you're going to win in a competitive space, but if you're going to be the best, that's what me and my team when we started. That's what we were going to do. We were going to be the best. So what is the space missing where we can kind of get that win and really separate ourselves? And just like you said, most of these big companies, they overpromise, they underdeliver, they don't get results. And building what we have, we've done it foundationally very well. So if we're building a house, you have to have the solid foundation. You can, like you said, if you're a big company and there's really no customer service, you're not delivering results, you have a really, really pretty house, but the foundation is built on absolutely nothing. And then as soon as everyone finds out that you're actually just glitz and glam and there's nothing underneath, it's just going to come crumbling down. So we built it foundationally very strong, knowing everything from building websites, optimizing websites from the ground up on multiple platforms, what works, A/B tests, the whole 9 yards. So we know foundationally what it is that we need to do to get results for our clients. And then again, what is it missing? It's missing results or a guarantee that's saying, hey, we know that this space is full of snake oil, used car type salesman, for the analogy. What are we going to do? Well, we guarantee results within 60 days, or we refund you 100% of your money, and I will personally write you a check for $1,000 for wasting your time. That to me was a thing that I could go out and say to potential clients, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of the people you're going to talk to are just going to blow smoke. They're not going to deliver. Here's what we offer. I'm willing to put my guarantee against anyone else, our customer service against anyone else, our case studies and everything else. So at the worst case scenario, what's going to happen is if we don't deliver, you're going to get 100% of your money back. All of our content, website updates, you're going to keep it all. And I'm personally write you a check for $1,000. I've never had to write a check. I never plan on having to write a check. But that's for me where I could take a look back objectively and say, what's wrong with this space? Overcome those barriers on the front end. So there really is no excuse to work with us other than you want to go spend a bunch more money somewhere else and take a leap of faith on someone that you heard about and possibly end up with the same results like what you talked about. It's about results, and
Yeah,
that's all we care about with our clients.
you end up signing these. I mean, I've done this so many times. You end up signing these like 12-month contracts. You pay like a upfront, setup fee, and then there's an ongoing service fee per month, and it's like can be anywhere between 5 and 10,000. It's also I've worked with some where it's 25 to 50 grand, and this is just a service fee. This is just to have a Zoom call every couple of days where they just get around. Everyone's on there, and it's just like all these like platitudes and just useless conversations. It's like and they don't get anywhere. So they plan to do all these social media posts. It's all very good talk, but then you actually, when you start looking at the results, you're not getting much at all, and it just drives you crazy, especially when you want to work with someone that's more unique and that can actually truly embed themselves with your business, because that's really the key. I mean, okay, so go, let's go back, because you've got this business plan, right? You've decided, okay, we're going to build this type of a company where we're going to provide this kind of a service. And I guess over time, did you come up with that kind of model, that pricing model, like in the beginning, or is that something that kind of happened as you were trying to convince companies to work with you, or did you go in saying, this is how we're going to position ourselves as an opportunity, as an
Right.
irresistible offer to our potential customers, or is this something that's just happened?
It happened very organically. The one thing that I'll always say, and I say this to every client, like when we start. So if you're an Eagle Scout and you're dropped in the middle of the woods and it's late at night and you want to get home, if you just start running in a direction, just no research, no foundational research, no understanding of where you're at, your market, who's around you, what are your threats, what are your easy wins, and you just run a direction, you're more likely to run the exact opposite way than you are to where you want to go. So what we did initially was we understand where the market's at. We understand what a lot of the competitors do. And it's more just talking with business owners. And over the course of, say, the first 4 or 5 months where we were actually signing clients, and I was having a decent closing percentage. Most of the people that we talked to were referrals because we weren't running ads at the time. So it's people that knew who we were, or they knew someone that was getting results, which is always the easiest close. As we started to run ads and we started to kind of develop and see, okay, if we're going to go out to people that are looking for a service, we know they're going to be talking to 5, 6, 7, 8 other agencies. What are we going to do to separate ourselves? So that's where we, again, had to look back at ourselves and our products and everything else. And what I've always said is, if you have a strong relationship with your clients, you understand yourself, we know we're going to get results. So if we ever had a client that said, hey, this month it really wasn't where we thought we were doing great, but we just kind of had a down month, I would tell clients, hey, don't worry about this month. I expect us to be here. I have an expectation for my team and my clients that we're going to hit our numbers. And if we don't worry about it. I'm not going to pay you for it. And they said, why would you do that? I said, because we didn't get to where we needed to. I said, that no one would ever do that. So it's kind of one of those conversations where I realized, if I'm going to obviously not only walk the walk, but I'm going to talk the talk and everything else, I just need to offer that up front, because I would do it anyway. So again,
Like, you'd fix
realizing
the
that,
problem, like you'd make it work. You'd make
yeah,
that's a guarantee right there. That's a guarantee that not many people. I mean, when you started the company and you went in, like, did you quit a job and then take the leap, and it was just like, I've got 30 days to be, or do you have savings? Do you have startup money? Or were you
right,
like, I got 30 days to make rent. Let me go out and just do
yeah.
all this prospecting. I'm going to offer them this like absolute amazing offer where it's fully guaranteed. So I'm hoping somebody's going to go for it. Was that the kind of thing you did? Or was it like, did you have like startup money? Did you have that kind of runway to work with?
So I think, like most businesses, and especially small businesses or anyone that's watching this, you don't have an angel fund. You don't have a Series A funding round. It's you're out there. You're in the trenches. I mean, you are boots on the ground trying to get it running, and that's what I was doing. So I was actually working a job full time, doing small business development, and then COVID kind of hit. I had some people before that reached out, that asked about some of the things that I could do, and I helped them out. There were clients when I got started initially. I was like, hey, yeah, I can help you out. I gave them some advice. They got really good results. They said, I want this more. Can you start, charging me for this, or what can I pay you as a service? So the whole business started very organically. Yeah, sure, I can give you some advice as a consulting. Great. And then it kind of started to pick up. And I said, okay, we have 5 or 6 clients now that are paying me as a consultant when I'm doing other things. I'm still working my full-time job. So I was doing this like on the weekends or after hours, because I need to make sure that I have that money coming in. My wife would kill me if I didn't, right? So COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, we were sent home, worked remote, and I had a lot of time on my hands. And that's where things really started to pick up, because people that couldn't have people out in market, they really relied on their digital media presence. And that's when I had a lot more clients that started to come to me. It got to the point over the course of a year working from home where I was bringing on more clients than I could handle. I couldn't do my full-time job when I had to get brought back into the office. So when they said, okay, at this date, we're coming back in the office, I had to take a step back and say, okay, I'm making this much money right now doing what I'm doing on the side with consulting and then digital marketing. I'm making this much working for the bank. what makes me happy? And I think that's a lot biggest thing a lot of people will ask, well, how do you get started? Find something that makes you fulfilled. Find something that you're passionate about. Um, I don't like the old analogy. If you do something you love, it's never really a job. As a business owner, you're working all the time. It's never a 9 to 5. And so that's
You
when I
can't
said,
stop
okay,
thinking about it. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
I'll be playing with my kids and my wife will tell me, "You're not present," because I'm still thinking about work. And it's like, I feel
yeah,
so guilty for doing that, because I was thinking about the next call I was going to make. I was thinking about the email campaign I was going to send out. I was thinking about how I'm going to reposition myself strategically within that market to get this client, to win that business. It's just like, you cannot stop. And then you've got the other stuff. That's like I would even call that the fun stuff, because you still got the other things. You've got to how I've got to pay these salaries, or this person wants a promotion. How much am I going to increase their salary by? Like, my accountant called me, said our bookkeeping was messed up, but I kind of relied on the bookkeeper to deal with this. There's all these other things as well that just drive you up the wall. And they flood your thoughts, and you can't even, sometimes it's just hard to deal with like just normal your daily routine. I'll be in the gym sometimes thinking about this stuff, and I'm messing up my workout because it's just, I'm so focused on the business itself. How have you had
right.
to deal with that? Have you been able to kind of like, do you do anything? Is there like a ritual, like a 4 a.m. wake up or something? Like, is there something that you
Yeah.
do that kind of helps you manage all that?
So I wake up 6 o'clock and I go to the gym. That's my time.
Yeah.
And that's my time where I can get everything out, work it out, think mental clarity. I think that's extremely important. Um, that really is my go-to. Because like you said, you're always thinking about it, right? I'm the one who gets paid last in my business. I have to make sure that my employees are paid, the bills are paid, everything else, and that adds up. And my wife and I are expecting our first child in 3 months, so you add that onto it. Yeah, there's my gym time is extremely important, and then just staying regimented, right? Because there's so many things when I wasn't a business owner that I had no idea I'd ever have to think about. I wouldn't have to think about, okay, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numbers driven guy, analytics, right? But then you bring on more employees, and then there's internal things or personal things that you have to do. So it's like, okay, I'm an analytic mind. Okay, now I have to have a conversation, very emotionally driven. How does everybody think? How does everyone communicate? I mean, on my team where we have 9 employees, there's probably 6 different communication styles I know that work best for each of them. And that's something that I've never had to do, when I was working with 100 different business owners in the bank. And it's just some of the things that no one ever advises you on. And I just think being very open minded, having an outlet for working all of that out, and just going in every single day knowing I took care of myself, my mental health, meditation, yoga, whatever it is. Now I'm going to go deal with the clients and more of the personal aspects, and I'm ready to rock and roll. I think that's definitely, I've seen a big improvement in myself, my mental health, physical health as well, but business growth, just making sure that that's taken care of in the morning.
Yeah, like how, like, so that's, I mean, I kind of follow suit. I do the same sort of thing. I need to have and my me time is only ever like an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's that gym time. It's just to help kind of organize my thoughts for the day. Some people use meditation. That's my meditation. I feel like
Yep.
I resonate with that heavily. But
Okay.
like, here's the thing: when I was running like just my company as a complete and utter service offering, when I build distribution channels for businesses. So my job is to kind of like do the legwork to go and find out these supply chains and where like I can build these networks up for companies. It takes time, and even if I train other people, we're all trading time for the money, right?
Right.
So like, I've constantly been looking at like ways in which I can scale that business, and to the point where I can, is there a product? Is there something that is there something else that I could sell that doesn't involve me trading time, to help me scale? I mean, are you looking into any of that kind of stuff, or is it right now just still getting the meatware behind the hardware? Let's get as many people in to be able to serve these clients by
Right.
providing that time. Like, do you have like strategies for like scaling up, or even what about automation? Like, how do you
Mhm.
automate some of the things that you're doing so that you can, you've got a kid coming. Like, how are you going to like create more time, because you will have
Yeah.
sleepless nights?
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, and I really run on the 3 rules, which are, if I need something, or there's a certain service or product, or whatever I can do, right? Do I need it? Can I eliminate it? If I can't eliminate it, can I automate it? If I can't automate it, can I outsource it to someone that can do it? So whether that's bring an employee, as I was doing everything myself when we started, it got to the point I had 15 clients. I couldn't eliminate clients. I couldn't automate it. So I had to outsource and bring someone else in, which is now why we have 9 employees. So that's the one thing that I'll do is if there's any process that we do throughout everything I've done for the last 2 years, can I eliminate it? Can I automate it? Can I outsource it? Things that we automate a lot of, we use different software for appointment reminders, follow-ups, email campaigns. We have someone that writes all of those and that's in the business that knows, what we're doing to talk about our case studies. That's really been the easiest thing to automate, like busy work that we can do and automate. There's a bunch of different ones that we can use. Recommend definitely that. The one thing that I always want to say is I worked so much in the business and I didn't work as much on the business. And that's where I've seen the most delegation outsourcing, right? So there was three main areas that I really had to do when I was wearing all the hats, right? So whether it was sales, whether that was, the onboarding and the current work, for me, it became too much. So I said, okay, who are three people that I can bring in where each one person focuses on one specific aspect and have them do that? Because I don't think there's any one person that can do everything that I do with the passion that I do because I'm the business owner. But I was able to find someone that could take that one third of it and absolutely crush it. So that allows me to work on the business instead of so much in the weeds. And that's where I see a lot of business owners where they're starting where I'm working with them, right? Because I work with business owners all the time. That's the one thing that I see all the time is there's always a visionary behind everything, but that visionary also has to implement. That's two different roles. So if you can, as a business owner, work on eliminating, automating, outsourcing, having a real objective look at yourself, like what am I good at? Are there things I'm not good at? And there's nothing wrong with bringing someone else in that does a job better than you if that's what they specialize in. Like Bill Gates, all these guys, they don't do their own taxes, right? They bring in someone to do that for them because they know it better, they do it better, so they pay them for it. And that's the way I tell clients, have a real hard look at yourself because once you can start to do that, and like you said, take things off your plate, you have more rest, you have less things to worry about, you can delegate that, and that will make you a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Have you ever considered like with that, like to kind of like expand? I've seen some companies out there in the marketing space. They have like the do it yourself option and the done with you option. Like, and would you ever like help your businesses like, I know people learn on the job anyway, especially, I mean, I learned a lot about my marketing or marketing for my business when I just worked with those, even those big agencies that I didn't think were very good. I still learned a lot just by working with them. And almost sometimes, it's nowadays I'm starting to see more like social media marketing agencies, a lot of, for the most part, but just generally marketing agencies say, hey, look, we have this book, we have this training program, we can show you how to do it yourself. And I know that that's like, I've just on the internet, I've seen people like make more with that, like make money with that. And it's like, it kind of helps with their scalability because they're getting way more customers in at this very low price point, and then they can kind of upsell them into like the service offering and stuff like that. Is that something you'd ever consider doing, or is that like just you'll leave that for everybody else?
No, we're definitely looking at that. The biggest thing, again, when we talked about doing this, is knowing in the space that a lot of people are snake oil salesmen. So, okay, we want to venture into this. What is currently happening, right? All these people are marketing it. I've gone and signed up for a bunch of these and I've gotten their reports. I've seen what their work is. And to be honest with you, I was very underwhelmed. As someone who actually knows the business, they're leaving out crucial things that don't tell the whole story. So what we're doing right now is the market research to make sure where all of these other companies are selling a done for you or a learn it yourself or do it yourself type of story, if you will, because it's not even really a fact. It's just to me, it's just fiction, right? It's not real. And how do we again differentiate ourselves? We have to tell the truth. We have to be honest. We have to say this is what you can do, and if you implement these certain things, you will succeed. And if you don't, we'll refund you your money on that. So that's what we're in the process of now. What a lot of these other companies do is sell at a very low price point because, like you said, SEO is expensive. We have clients
It
that pay us over
is
five
like
figures of yeah.
it's crazy expensive. One of the things that like when people have asked me like, why do I'll tell you, I'll be honest. When I pitch distribution channels for businesses, one of the things, especially the smaller ones that are kind of concerned about, they have a marketing budget. They already have these marketing agencies partnered in, and so I can't go in there and say, hey, look, add to your marketing budget, because then my sales pitch is nothing. I don't have anything unique to offer that they can't already get from the companies that they're already working with. So what do? I normally say, you know, instead of upping your marketing, like, switch to building your distribution channels because you're now tapping into the networks that other people have already spent time creating. It's like, so I'm always going down that road of like, you know, changing, kind of switching the pitch almost because
Right.
to what you said, I mean, it's just, it changes everything.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And it's a great method up to a certain point for a lot of businesses, right? So as I was built, so say for example, if I was going to go out and when I started Antilles Digital, or I say I started a separate business, right? And I went and I wanted to buy this service. How everyone else in the marketplace does is they give enough for you to kind of figure it out, but then there's so much left for you to figure it on your own. Or you realize, wow, this is way more complicated than I ever thought. I just paid, a good bit of money for this complete done for you, but you're not getting the results. And that's when, okay, will you get an upsell for this? For me, I'd rather you not waste your time or money to realize, okay, I need more. So I'm fine not making any revenue or implementing this service that we have that we're in production of until it's 100% ready. Because last thing I want to do is overpromise and underdeliver just like everybody else. So, we're working on that. But again, it works up to a certain point because if you are a business owner and you are doing everything yourself, whether it's a plumber, HVAC, some other people that we work with in the home space, they don't have the time to go and implement this themselves. They don't have time to learn about website building, to go learn about search engine optimization. What are the Google Analytics updates? What are the algorithm updates? What are alt tags and meta information and social media management, email campaign? Like they just don't have time. And so, kind of what you alluded to earlier, time is the most important aspect of a business owner. And it's not that you're just buying something, I just want something done. You're not buying into a digital media company like Antilles Digital Media. What you are is you're paying to remove yourself from the process and the headache of not getting it done right. So it's not, I'm buying this, service or this is what we're doing. I am offhanding that, giving that to this company. We're going to handle that, do it for you so you can focus on what really drives you money. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, especially a business owner. So yeah, a done for you system works. But then if you actually start to get more traffic, start to get more business, and now you have twice as many clients, you now have half the time or any time at all to actually learn this. And then you're going to have to hire someone, pay insurance, pay benefits, all of that. When we can do it all for you, guarantee results, and you don't have to worry about it. So again, up to a certain point to get you enough knowledge to be deadly in the space. But then at some point you have to get it to someone else. And if you don't, you're just going to drown yourself in work and you're going to be miserable.
it's like that I mean, I feel like you've become an expert now. I mean, the way you're speaking as well, like it's like you've just built up this entire, like, you've got a lot of experience there. You clearly, your space. I mean, when you first went into the business, I know you said you were selling to like small businesses. Like, was that marketing you were selling to them? Like, where did this experience come from? Or is this something that you've consistently learned like throughout, like just through trial and error and working with clients? Or was it like, have you like read books? Is there like training programs online that you've taken? I mean, I've, I'm guilty of it. I go out there. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I increase my SEO? How do I do this? And I'll start
Yeah.
buying books. I start reading blogs. I start watching YouTube videos. I'll start consuming tons of information. And it's like, I'm nowhere, I wouldn't even consider myself a novice because I feel like I'm below that level. I think that's still like
Right.
that's still a level, and I'm not even there yet. Like I just kind of understand, generally like the accounting. I understand that I need an accountant because
Yeah.
it's important. I think that's where I am with marketing. Like, how do you like skill up in your business if it's not? Is there anything you do like
You
training or
fail.
whatever?
You
Fail,
fail. You fail.
fail
That's
forward though, right?
yes, fail forward, right? And that's what I tell everyone that we talk to, right? Um, what most people in the space will say in the digital media space, and I'm going to go back to the process of it, but what they always say is, well, we guarantee you first place results. We guarantee you this. And in Google search, you're going to guarantee this, guarantee this. And again, that's smoke and mirrors. I can never guarantee that because I can't guarantee what Google's going to do. I know what Google wants. I know what Google prioritizes. I know what Google rewards with higher placement, and that's what we will do. But I'm never going to make a promise that I can't deliver on. So what I did is I knew about business. I worked business development forever. I knew about a bunch of the different clients that I worked with in a bunch of different industries. And I knew that every single client is different. Every single industry is different. So I just needed to focus on specifically what is it that Google wants. Google changes their algorithm all the time.
I've heard about
So,
The Google slaps, right? They change
yeah,
everything.
that's what
Yeah.
they do in most. Yeah, and then now with the implementation of AI, they're going crazy on it. So think about it this way: there are 250,000 websites built every single day. There's 1.13 billion websites live on the internet. If you don't stand out, you're never going to be found. So we had to understand what is it that Google wants, and that's trial and error. You do things, it works, great. It doesn't, okay. Learn what doesn't work, fail, and add that to your repertoire of things that we are going to stay away from. We know that Google doesn't want this. So if you can eliminate every single thing that Google doesn't want, you know that what you're going to put out there is at least going to be receptive. It knows what works. And then from that, you refine it. So over the course of 2 years, as I worked with some smaller businesses where I said, hey, I'm not the authority in this space. I know enough to do it. I'm going to offer you something that is priced way more, better for the business. And if you don't get results, don't worry about it. So I went in being honest. And I think that's the biggest thing that most companies don't do is they're not honest. And when they fail, they try and cover it up. So one of the things I always say is no matter what, if it's good, bad, or ugly, I'm going to tell you the truth. And we're going to get to that. And if we fail, what did we learn? How did we fall forward? And over 2 years of doing that and failing forward, now the last 2 years, we've learned enough to fail. We've learned from that. And that's why we are so confident in what we do, because we've learned what not to do. And we know now what to do because we've kind of refined that path.
Okay. All right. You mentioned AI there, and I just kind of like sparked a little light bulb question of mine. Like how, like one of the things that I considered a while back, and I just thought about it now. People talk about using Chat GPT to like write blogs and create content. So what's that going to do to the SEO space? Like, how are you gonna? Like, are you worried about that? Like, just now, all of these different companies out there just using Chat GPT and other types of AI platforms to just churn out all this text that Google reads. Like, how's Google? Because it's kind of hard to predict. I mean, Google has their own AI, right? Bard. I use that sometimes, just playing with it. But like, it's how do you? Because a lot predominantly, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
and elaborate if you will. Google reads stuff. So that's why back in the day, people used to kind of have these huge websites where they'll have all this like text, and even in the white, written in white. So you couldn't see it, but like
The
the
hidden
websites were
text
being like, do you know what I mean? Like they were just being like
used to
ranked
work.
higher. It used to
Yeah,
work at
yeah,
one point. Yeah. How does that
yeah.
work now? What's going to happen with all this AI? Because it can just churn out tons of content, and you can tell it to like, these are the keywords I need. Give me all the like the relevant keywords that I haven't thought of that would apply to this, and it would just kind of spam the system. Like I feel like that's about to happen if it's not happening already.
It is, and that's like I say, with 250,000 websites being made every single day, it's happening. It's happening now. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and I look at this the same way that I did when I started the business. Um, it's understanding what it is that Google wants, and then going and delivering that. So let's look at AI and what that is, right? So when you're using ChatGPT only has up to like late 2021 as far as like the data and information that's there. And because so many people are building websites and they're using AI, if they tell you they're not, they're lying. They are. What's happening is you are getting a flood of the same exact content. It's recycled content that's old. It's because ChatGPT again isn't up to date. So it's old content that's the exact same. So Google, what they've done with their algorithm is say, if you're not adding user helpfulness or user value, we're not going to rank you. So you can have websites that have a ton of content that will never get indexed because you're not giving Google a reason to index their content. So again, what does Google want? Google wants to make money. How does Google make money? They make money from Google ads, if you're going to pay for it, or organically ranking. That's how you're going to get clicks, right? So the way to give the best content is to actually deliver the best content, which is not recycled stuff that everybody else is doing. So while a lot of other people in the space say, oh no, Chat GPT and AI, they're going to ruin SEO, I think they're only going to make it better, because when you have so many people that are just doing the bare minimum, how many you're going to stand out. So we can go with our content that is custom done here in the US with our content team, whether it's having all the things on page that ChatGPT can't do, updated information, internal linking, external linking, table of contents, frequently asked questions, like all the things that Google, that Chat GPT can't do, or they can, but it's all old content, right? We can go right now and say any search term, any keyword. Okay, what are the top 10 organic rankings across all of Google, right? Get all of those, and for all of those top 10, compile it, research what they have, what they don't have, and then we're going to make sure that we can almost Frankenstein the best content, having everything that Google wants. So Chat GPT can't do that. So if everyone is down here and everyone is cutting corners and we're up here, that's why how we can guarantee our results. So yeah, we're not the cheapest because we're not cutting corners. And if someone is looking to actually improve their marketing, get more rankings, get more clients, they can pay very little money and get someone that's doing the bare minimum just to say, oh, well, we did this, but you're not delivering. So if you're looking at it in a way that I am, which is I love it because it's helping me stand out even more because we're getting even better rankings than we ever have been. So I personally love it because that's fine. Let everyone just do the bare minimum and we're going to keep doing what we're doing and implementing things the right way. And it's only continuing to snowball and build us more better relationships with our clients.
Yeah. And speaking of relationships with your clients, because you're dealing with like companies, you mentioned like smaller businesses, right? Small to medium enterprises is that typically your clientele?
For the most part. So
So,
what Mhm.
so the question I had was, well, you've got your own entrepreneurial journey over the last like 3 to 4 years, and you're dealing with other companies where you're providing what I would call the lifeblood to their businesses because you're helping them sell more, right? You're driving traffic to their website so that they can increase conversions, presumably for the most part. So
Right.
you're dealing with them and you're providing these offers to help them mitigate their risk by providing these guarantees and whatnot. So you're dealing, so your reach is really with everyone else out there who's also not, I wouldn't say at the same level as you, but they're definitely growing too. So you've got a unique perspective on like what it takes to actually be successful in business. And actually, especially in the early days or when your
Right.
company's small and you can't be as agile because you just don't have the money to just throw around and try things. So you've got to be very specific about what your next step's going to be. So if
Mhm.
there's someone that's like, if we're considering the person that's like wants to follow your footsteps, wants to be, joining the ranks of entrepreneurs and build their own business, you've got a bit of a unique insight there because whilst you're a marketing company, you're dealing with, like you said, the plumbers, the construction companies, the other, types of agency businesses out there, service offerings. You're dealing with all them. So what advice would you give to that person, the person who's thinking about starting up right
Well, besides call Antilles digital media,
now?
um, I think it's just being honest to yourself and your quality of work. There's nothing to me that I can credit what we've done in the short amount of time, rather than just being honest. And I think in any industry, you're going to have people that will make promises, under deliver. It's just being honest to who you are, trusting your work, knowing your work, doing a good job because quality stands out. Quality stands out. Customer service stands out. That's why here in the U.S., Chick-fil-A is the number one, highest grossing restaurant, and they're closed on Sundays, and they're not the cheapest. But you know what you're going to get compared to say a McDonald's or Burger King. While I love McDonald's and Burger King, it's just a different level of quality and what you're going to expect. So stay true to that, and clients will come. If you do the right thing, you're receptive, you have great customer service, great communication. And I think the number one most important thing that I will say is communication, whether that to be to your clients, good, bad, or ugly. Always be communicating because, especially nowadays, you just don't get that. And I think that's true with any industry. You need to call someone at your bank, or you need to call someone about a credit card, or you need to call someone about anything. You're almost thinking, oh great, how long am I going to hold for? Or I'm going to talk to someone that I can't understand, or I'm going to be on hold for an hour, or I'm going to get the runaround. And when someone knows that I can communicate with this person effectively and they're going to be honest, people will pay a premium for that. And again, enjoying what it is that you do, being fulfilled. That's the biggest thing that I can say.
Okay. That's brilliant because customer service is what keeps the customers. It's how you can kind of govern that higher price point. Um, and so if someone's following who wants to set up a business, I mean, you've got to have that in mind. And I also think I think this is one of the first things that you did say, like you've got to hammer your outreach early on though. Um,
Yes.
because I think that's key. Like you can have this business plan, you can have this idea for the future of what you can imagine. Everyone's business kind of changes and warps and deforms along the
Right.
way, and you adapt. But initially, whilst you might have that vision, the biggest thing I think is to say you've got to hammer your outreach. If you're going to quit your job, if you're going to lose a
Yes.
lifeline, essentially, it's hammer. But you've got to make sure whilst you're hammering those sales calls, that those prospecting, interactions, you've got to also have in mind that whilst you've got all this energy that you're expending there, you've also got to have this underlying foundation, which is that customer service, which is that ability to execute, and deliver on what you've just promised, because that's a big problem if you don't. You can get the business, but then before you know it, you're going to end up giving refunds, right? And that's not a great
Right.
place to be. So I think you've married that perfectly with your business, where you say, look, well, you've gone out there and found the companies, and on top of that, you've actually given them that guarantee. And I think that's like an irresistible offer. And because one of the questions I was going to ask you was like, what would you say is an irresistible offer? And I think that is an irresistible offer. It's really putting a guarantee, a stamp on your business to say, if we don't deliver, don't pay us, or we'll give you the money back.
Yeah.
People say that, but when you're actually working in a service environment, that's incredibly powerful. And I wish that. And what I was just thinking as well with the AI situation, a lot of those bigger companies are going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them to kind of adapt, I think, because you've got to educate every person within that company on what the next plan is going to be, right? I think the more
Right.
nifty and agile companies, like yourself, are going to be like, right, you're right there dealing with it, and you can kind of just pivot to whatever needs to be done as far as Google's concerned. But larger companies and people are just kind of in their like monotony of their day job. For them to then start quickly learning on what um, to do the best for their clients, probably they might not even move quickly enough because AI is changing so bloody fast.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, we used to see Google algorithm changes were once every 4 months, once every 6 months, and I've actually worked in, like I said, Fortune 500 companies with millions of employees, and the one thing that frustrated me the most was how slow change that needs to be made happens, how little people actually listen to, and people that are in the trenches and knowing what they need to do, how little actual sway they have. And now with our size, 9 employees, we're all on the same page. Every single person that we work with and that we bring on has the same understanding, has the same desire, which is to help businesses grow. And no one calls us because they just want to remain the same. No one calls us because they want to be second or third best. They call us because they want to be the best, and we want to deliver that. And like you said, that word is pivot. Things change so fast nowadays that you have to be receptive. You have to be receptive to change. And that was one of the things that I will tell any business owner, anyone that is looking to get a business. You will make a change. I can't tell you one business owner that I've ever worked with that came to me and said, exactly what I wanted to do 5 years ago, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm running the business the same exact way. It's always, I went into the space, I had an open mind, I saw things that I needed to change and pivot to, and I made those changes. And if I didn't make those changes, I wouldn't be here today. And that's one of the biggest things that I see that business owners that are really, really struggling is they refuse to adapt, they refuse to change, they refuse to listen or implement new things. And as like you said, as fast as things change now, you have to be on the cusp of that, ready for change, ready to implement, and ready to have an open mind.
that's brilliant advice. That really is. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I know you've got meetings ahead of this
Yeah.
now. Really, thank you for taking the time out for us here at the Distro Boss Podcast. I think your insights were like invaluable. I think that people can really benefit from that. Of course, for anyone that's looking for a good marketing company to work with that can provide the level of service that Lee's talking about, why don't you just give him a call? So I
My
appreciate you
phone's
being
open.
here. Yeah,
Hey, Zab, I
appreciate you
appreciate you
being
very
here.
much.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you
buddy.
so much. Appreciate
All
it.
right, man. Talk soon.
All right, like and subscribe, everyone.